Hello gang, Tattooed Biker here with you, and boy do I have a collection of strange encounters for you tonight. True stories from viewers detailing their disturbing experiences with unknown creatures and terrifying unidentified cryptids. You definitely don't want to miss this one. And one other thing, as you know, I don't run mid-roll ads on my channel. I think they kill the mood and immersion for my listeners. That being said, I love you all, and I really appreciate my channel members for helping finance this little project of mine. So I'm making all memberships just $1.99 starting next month with full perks, including ad-free exclusive videos, occasional early access, members-only polls, personal behind-the-scenes posts, and on-screen credits at the end of every video. So anyone who wants to support the channel as a full-fledged member, it comes out to just 7 cents a day now, and this is available immediately. Thank you all so much. I love this community, and I thank you for not only helping build a safe place for folks that have experienced the unexplained to share their stories, but building a way to help spread awareness about the unknown. Now, as my dear friend from Canada would say right here, enough of my jibber jabber, and let's ride.
Number 1. Dear Biker, last Thursday night I went out on my back porch to smoke a cigarette. I let my dog out first and he went off to the left about 10 feet away. And that's when I heard a rustling noise off to my right. I looked but didn't see anything. I looked at the dog to see if he heard it, but for some reason he didn't. I looked back in the direction of the noise again as it rustled a second time. This time, however, it was there. The thing stood about 2 or 3 feet tall. I actually saw it lift its head up and look directly at me. We locked eyes for about 3 or 4 seconds before my dog ran over there. Biker, this thing had red eyes. They were big, red eyes. I could see the whites of the eyes, and I could see a brownish color in the middle, and here's where it gets freaky. Around the whites of the eyes was glowing red. It's not as if a light or glare caught its eyes. It wasn't normal. It was a red glowing outline around this thing's eyes. I could barely make out the rest of the body, but the head was, well, the only way I can explain it is the head looked like a gremlin from the movie before they went bad. Their round head and ears are much more stout than a cat's ears, but I could make them out. It almost looked as if it had two-tone patches of fur, light and dark. He also disappeared right before my eyes. Between the time the creature and I locked eyes, my dog was onto him. He ran over and expected him to chase it. He got to the spot and looked around. I figured I was mistaken about it disappearing, and maybe it had run off behind the fence and into the woods. So I listened. I listened for it to run because there were leaves everywhere over there. My dog got to the spot and just looked dumbfounded. He spun around because, well, it was gone. I took 1 step forward to look up into the trees to see if it had run up there to escape my dog. The moon lit the trees up, and I could see clearly there was nothing there. I don't know what to make of this, but it's been nagging at me. Here's something weird I've been thinking about. I set my alarm for 3 a.m. to get up for work. Between 3 and 3:30 a.m., I let the dog out for a pee before I leave the house at 4. A few days of the week, as soon as he steps off the porch, he sees something and chases it. I have yet to see what he's been chasing. This behavior has been going on for months. I hear him in the woods chasing something, and then he will bolt out and chase it through the open yard. I always thought the thing got away, but then he doesn't stop. He chases whatever it is back into the woods. I never hear or see what it is he's chasing until I saw this thing the other night. I never thought about it. I've tried to see what he chases more than a few times. I've assumed a rabbit or a cat, but I've never once seen or heard it. But he does. I don't know what to make of all this. I've tried to rationalize this as to maybe the thing I saw was a raccoon or an owl. I know what I saw. I told an acquaintance about the experience. And he said that because this was native land, Mohegan and Pequots, that there were weird things that went on here. Please don't think I'm nuts, Biker, but I'm a little freaked out, only because I know what it is I saw. As far as I know, there's no animal out there with glowing red eyes. And now tell me how it can just disappear like that. My dog was a bit freaked out too. The thing didn't have time to run away. Just poof, and it was gone. Anyways, not sure if you know about this subject, or have heard about anything or any type of creature like I've described. If you have, please let me know. I'm freaked out, but I'm curious too. I have to be nuts because I'm sitting here telling you that I have a creature on my property with red eyes that comes close to my house and around my yard that freaking disappears. Please get back to me and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to me rant. Sorry to bother you. Signed, Kelly.
Well, I emailed Kelly back and gave my thoughts, and told her if she added some more info about the area or its history, anything at all really, that my community is very knowledgeable and well read when it comes to cryptids and the unexplained, and that she could probably find even more insight by reading the comments of this video once it's posted. And she responded.
Hey Biker, well, I have 1.25 acres. It's a huge lot that has trees and also some open spaces. There's an old stone wall out back in the property line, and behind that there's 7 acres of non-access woods behind me. There's also a lake with a dam within walking distance by road or through the woods. Also, someplace in that woods, I've never seen the kids go exploring there, but there's an old abandoned Boy Scout camp. There's an old abandoned boat, a huge lodge, and a boathouse. There are antiques in that lodge, I've heard. No one ever goes back there, though. Some friends of mine did a ghost hunt a while back at my house, and they ended up going back to the Boy Scout camp instead when they found out about it. The name of the lake is Oxaboxo. It's supposed to be some type of Indian name, and that's the name of my street, Oxaboxo Cross Road. Spelled the same forward as backwards. The name of the town I live in is Oakdale. It's actually the village of Montville. At one time, the Mohegan Indians owned most of the land there, and there was some type of war between the Pequots and the Mohegans way back. They both have casinos now and own a ton of land. Most of my property is very rocky. Nice lawn, but it seems to be on a rock ledge. My neighbor had the blast to put in a pool. That's about all I know offhand. Thanks for getting back to me. Signed, Kelly.
Unexpectedly, before I had wrapped this video, I got one more email from Kelly. And here's what she said.
Hey Biker, one other thing. From the day I moved in here, I hated being outside in the dark. Even during the day, I always felt like I was being watched from the woods, which is even creepier when I have to go to work in the middle of the night. I've never been comfortable here. My daughter, too. When I go outside to go to work, I park my car as close as I can to my back porch so I can just hop in my car. Sometimes it's almost in a panic state because I think something is close outside. Weird, I know. I'm not normally a fraidy cat, but that's a huge issue I've had with this place, and I can't wait to move because of it. Thank you for taking the time. Signed, Kelly. Number 2. Hello, Tattooed Biker. I hope you are having a very good day. Please bear with my lack of English. My experience would not be well received in my community, so I ask that you not publish my name and town. I live in a town north of Prague in the Czech Republic. My family and I have lived here for many generations, and my homeland is full of stories about legends, myths, and ghosts. I've never taken these seriously until I had an encounter with this unknown thing. I looked on the internet, and most of what I found led me to your channel. My home is near the Vatva River. I can look out from my second floor and observe the entire waterway. The time was close to 10 p.m., and I was sitting on the terrace on the second floor. I noticed a red light floating over the river, and it continued for several minutes. I've seen many white and yellow orb UFOs over that river at night, but this was different. I then observed the red light move towards the riverbank in my direction. The light was gaining altitude and moving towards me. When the light started to pass over, I could tell from the moonlit sky that it was a large bird with huge wings. The entire front of this bird was glowing bright red. There was absolutely no sound. As I watched, it began to circle above me without flapping its wings and was descending towards me. It slowly flew lower and lower until it finally landed on the roadway beside my house, about 60 meters from where I stood. The street lamp illuminated the bird enough to where I got a very good look at it. I can only describe it as a human bird. I've listened to your stories about the Mothman, and these match very closely. One difference is the size. This human bird was very, very tall, I would say 4 meters. The head was very large, and a red light glowed all around the circumference. It had long legs and a torso like a man. It didn't walk, but it hopped like a bird. The wings were shaped like those of a flying fox. I watched it hop along the road for several minutes, and then it disappeared. It just vanished. This incident took place in June of 2013, and I've not heard of other people seeing this human bird, though I'd be surprised if any of the local people here would mention such an experience. I'm now subscribed and I receive your notifications. Thank you. Signed, Anonymous. Number 3. Dear Sir, about 3 years ago I had a strange encounter in the length of woods that borders my house in Northumberland County, Pennsylvania, near Ellisburg. It was winter, and I was on one of my routine hikes with my brother. We would periodically stop and rest, listening to the sounds of the forest. We were climbing a steep hill and having a hell of a time with it. Our march was halted when I stepped in a pothole, and when I finally dragged my foot out, we decided to take a breather, and that's when I saw it. We were just standing there making small talk, when out of the corner of my eye I see a figure. I turned and see this large, lanky creature watching us from atop a hill. The very instant my gaze fixed on it, it began to barrel down the hill at us. I tried to run or alert my brother, but I couldn't move. I was absolutely paralyzed with fear. I heard my brother ask, "What's the matter?" but I couldn't tell him because I really didn't know. I didn't know what I was looking at. I finally was able to break my paralysis and was about to tell him what was happening when it was just gone, just poof, like smoke in the wind. Needless to say, I hauled my ass out of there. If I was able to describe this thing, I would say that it was at least 6'6". It had a very slim build and was completely nude. Its body was impossibly pale. I never caught sight of its face or any reproductive parts, but I have this feeling it was male. Every time I look back on it and try to analyze what it might have been, I always come up short. I can't come up with a believable or concrete explanation. I sometimes doubt I saw anything at all. Granted, this isn't the first strange experience I've had in these woods. The disembodied baby's cry comes to mind. Signed, Chad.
Was this a flesh and blood hominid or apparition? Or possibly a multi-dimensional being? Or maybe something completely different? A while back I received another interesting but very brief account from a viewer in Pennsylvania. She states that what she witnessed looked like a feral human while in the vicinity of Tioga State Forest in Lycoming during the late 1970s. The being was described as being only 4 feet tall with reddish hair all over the body, though sparse on the chest where she noticed what she thought were breasts. The facial features were human in all respects. This hominid stood for a few seconds, made no sound, turned to its left, took a step, and then faded away as if it were walking through a wall of water. The email didn't go into much more detail, but she did state that the area did have old ghost towns in it.
Number 4. Hey biker, I need help identifying what I believe was a cryptid sighting. This was 4 or 5 years ago, but it has stuck with me, and I've done research and can't find an exact match. So the story is, I was riding my bike along some train tracks at night with an old boyfriend, trying to cut through town faster. We were passing through an unusually well-lit area by some warehouses, so we picked up our speed a little bit. Then, on my right, I can see what I can only describe rationally as a 3 or 4 foot tall monkey walking upright, running away from me and disappearing into the bushes. I say monkey because it had a monkey tail, but the monkey seemed hairless and hunched over, but definitely on 2 feet. Both I and my boyfriend literally skidded to a stop, and we both looked right at each other, with what I can only describe as with wide eyes and disbelief. And he says, "Did you see that?" And then we both wordlessly raced away. Now here's the strange part. We never ever spoke about it again. Not one word. It was on my mind for weeks, but I never spoke of it, and I don't know why. He didn't speak of it either. It was only a few years later that I decided to do some Googling and figure this out. I looked up escaped monkeys from the zoo or sightings of monkeys in my area, but to no avail. So I figured it must have been something else because I just can't explain it any other way. The closest thing my research has come up with is a pukwudgie, but none of the info on them says anything about long tails. For more info, I'm in New England, USA. At this point, I don't know what else to do but join websites and post my story wherever I can and ask around. This experience haunts me by popping into my mind just when I think that I've forgotten it. Any ideas would be appreciated. P.S. This happened in northern Massachusetts. Thanks for reading. Signed, Sarah. And there it is. All I have for tonight. Thank you all so much for riding with me. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and theories on these down below in the comments. And if you have an experience to share, just send it to the email address in the description and your story may just wind up in a future video. Thanks again. And until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, stay safe, and I'll be seeing you on down the road a ways. Biker, out.